Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're unpacking a deeply compelling narrative about love, betrayal, and the sudden collapse of a life built over decades. We're diving into Belle Burden's devastating memoir, Strangers. We're going to trace the timeline and the emotional fallout of a 20-year marriage that literally evaporated overnight. It's a profound look at just how quickly the people we think we know best can become absolute strangers to us. You'll notice the striking avian imagery on the book cover right here. These two birds moving in completely different directions. It perfectly frames the powerful symbolism of loyalty and flight that we're going to uncover today. As we move through the explainer, keep these birds in the back of your mind because the author uses the natural world to brilliantly contrast the unreliability of human behavior. Which actually brings us right to this opening quote. Each spring, an osprey couple returns to the same nest on our property on Martha's Vineyard. This immediately establishes a theme of steadfast loyalty and returning home. In the text, we learn that Belle's husband, James, was completely obsessed with this osprey couple. For 15 years, he anxiously awaited their return, celebrating their loyalty to this specific spot. And honestly, it sets us up for a truly heartbreaking contrast when we see how his own loyalty plays out. Retreat to the vineyard. Okay, picture this. It's March 2020. The COVID-19 pandemic has just shuttered New York City, so the family decides to retreat to their isolated, beloved home on Martha's Vineyard to quarantine. It's an idyllic, if anxious, setup. James is chopping wood, building gorgeous fires, mixing whiskey sours, really acting the part of the ultimate protector for Belle and their two younger daughters, Evie and Carrie. To Belle, they're safe, unified, and weathering this global crisis together. Now, looking at this timeline, you can visually track the rapid and shocking descent of Belle's marriage over just a few short weeks in lockdown. It brilliantly illustrates just how fast things fall apart. So they arrive on the island on March 15th. Just 6 days later, on March 21st, the first day of spring, a single voicemail shatters everything. The very next morning, March 22nd, James leaves. And by April 1st, even her extended family has completely cut ties with her. Let's break down exactly what happened on that pivotal night of March 21st. The voicemail. The evening of March 21st actually begins perfectly. The family enjoys a wonderful dinner of homemade gnocchi prepared by their daughter Evie and a roast chicken cooked by James. They FaceTime their older son, Finn, who's safe with friends on Long Island. After dinner, the girls head off to play video games, and James steps away to take a work call. Belle stays in the kitchen to clean up. She fills a bucket to mop the floor. And then, her phone rings with an unknown number. She lets it go to voicemail, then presses play. I'm sorry to tell you this, but your husband is having an affair with my wife. The stark reality of the stranger's exact words simulates Belle's tunnel vision and pure shock in that exact moment. It's a nervous, young male voice delivering the news. Imagine the absolute disorientation. She freezes. She actually presses play again, convinced this has got to be a mistake. She leaves her mop against the kitchen island and goes to find her husband, fully expecting him to just easily explain it all away. Once she confronts him, James sits her down, takes her hands, and says, I promise you, this meant nothing. It's over. I love you and only you. I'm so sorry. His immediate dismissive response stands in such sharp contrast to the massive destruction he's just brought into their home. He claims it was just an attraction, even cupping his hands to demonstrate a physical force pulling them together, and insists it's only been going on for a few weeks. Did taking off my wedding ring cause this? Think about how trauma forces the brain to desperately search for logic where there literally is none. We can vividly feel Belle's panic as she starts questioning her own actions. Just the day before, she had taken off her wedding ring because a friend told her the coronavirus could hide under jewelry. Now, staring at her bare fingers under James's hands, she wonders if she somehow caused this. Did she shake something loose in the universe? It's a profound look at how we automatically blame ourselves when our reality is suddenly pulled out from under us. How does a woman with a big job and 2 toddlers have the time, the energy, for an affair? As James reveals sparse details, Belle's mind fixates on these impossible logistics. And right in the middle of this intense interrogation, her young daughter Carrie calls out asking for raspberry turnovers. Belle is instantly forced to compartmentalize a life-shattering betrayal just to go turn on the oven and pretend everything is totally normal for her kids. The sudden departure. While crying in the shower, Belle texts the stranger back to find out how long the affair has really been going on. The man texts back rapidly. He can't talk. His wife has just tried to kill herself. She's in an ambulance. The raw emotion of that evening quickly turns into a chilling coldness by 6 a.m. the very next morning. Belle stays up all night, sick with dread, while James sleeps peacefully in their son's empty bed. When the sun rises, James walks in, fully dressed in his boots and parka, holding a canvas tote bag. He looks at her with icy, narrowed eyes and simply says, "I've decided I want a divorce. I'm leaving." When Belle asks if he's going to see his mistress, he says he wants to make sure she's okay. This sudden announcement reveals a terrifying dichotomy. He rushes off to care for his mistress, who had taken sleeping pills the exact moment her affair was exposed, while casually and coldly abandoning his wife of 20 years, just telling her, "You'll be fine." Look at the sheer scale of what James walks away from over the phone later that day. The Martha's Vineyard house, the New York apartment, and custody of all 3 children. He tells Belle she can have the house, she can have the apartment, and shockingly, she can have full custody of the kids. He says, "I don't want any of it." As we can see, this wasn't just an affair. It was a total, instant abandonment of everything they built together. He is literally walking away from his entire identity as a father and a husband. Isolation and gaslighting. Trapped in a pandemic lockdown, Belle now faces the severe claustrophobia of managing this crisis completely isolated on an island. Because of the COVID restrictions, no friends or family can physically get to her. No one can fly in to help with the kids or sit with her on the couch. She's entirely dependent on phone calls and texts while navigating a massive emotional trauma, stuck in the exact same house where her marriage just ended. Adding insult to injury, James attempts to control the narrative from afar. We have James's expected narrative, a joint, amicable decision, versus Belle's reality, sudden abandonment. Notice the jarring disconnect here. He texts her that they should tell people the separation was a joint decision, claiming it would be better for her well-being. But Belle, who describes herself as traditionally compliant and eager to please, bravely refuses to accept this gaslighting. She texts back, "No, I won't say that." She absolutely refuses to lie about her own sudden abandonment. Surviving lockdown in shock. Look at this agonizing list of mundane things Belle had to do while her entire world collapsed. She's hiding the truth from 12-year-old Carrie, fielding elaborate home-cooked meals from her older daughter Evie, who silently senses something is deeply wrong. Burning the raspberry turnovers, doing laundry and scrubbing toilets while weeping. And on top of the whole shebang, on April 1st, James's siblings sent her a joint text saying they can no longer be in contact with her, abruptly severing a 20-year family bond to support James. The birds return. Finally, exactly 3 weeks after James left, we reach a poignant, bittersweet resolution on Easter Sunday. Belle is outside, trying her best to maintain some sense of normalcy by hiding plastic Easter eggs in the woods for her daughters, just like they do every single year. As she approaches the Osprey pole, she looks up and writes, "I saw wings rise and a head appear, and then another head. They were back." Her first instinct is that she needs to tell James. He'll be so happy. And then the crushing realization hits that he's gone. Belle's realization that the loyal ospreys have magically returned from South America to this exact nest leaves us lingering on the stark difference between nature's reliability and human betrayal. The birds, who James admired so much for their loyalty, kept their promise. James did not. So, how fragile is human intimacy when compared to the steadfast instincts of nature? I want to leave you with this final provocative thought. Belle Burden's memoir really forces us to look closely at the fragility of the lives we build, the narratives we believe about our partners, and the people we choose to trust. It shows us that while a 20-year foundation can vanish in the time it takes to leave a voicemail, the strength to survive that shock and refuse a false narrative is entirely our own. Thank you for joining me to explore this truly moving story.